What is up, Panthers Nation? Can you believe the roller coaster we just witnessed? We went from the bottom of the league to looking like true contenders in the playoffs, but that heartbreaking finish against the Rams left us with one massive question. What is truly holding our starting quarterback back? We finally have the inside scoop on the glaring patterns that defined this entire season. Is our offense finally ready to dominate from the opening kickoff, or are we stuck in a loop? Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Let's dive into this crucial situation right now. The Carolina Panthers' recent playoff campaign serves as a critical benchmark for the direction of the franchise heading into the 2026 season. After a challenging 2023 campaign that saw the club finish with a 2 out of 15 record, the progression to an 8-9 mark in a postseason appearance represents a major shift in on-field performance under Dave Canales. The organization made significant strides, culminating in a competitive wildcard matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. Despite the 34-31 loss, the team showed resilience, overcoming a difficult 1-3 start to the season to eventually force their way into the playoff conversation. At the center of this narrative is quarterback Bryce Young, whose development remains the focal point for the team's future ambitions. Young's performance in the postseason was a microcosm of his season as a whole, characterized by a sharp contrast between his first and second half execution. Against the Rams, he struggled early with an interception that led to a touchdown, but showed growth in the final 2 quarters by playing turnover-free football. His ability to rally the team, including a crucial 7-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Coker in the 4th quarter, highlighted his capacity to produce in high-pressure moments. However, as the 2026 season approaches, the overarching theme is consistency. The team managed to fight back against a tough Rams squad led by Matthew Stafford, yet the reality remains that early game deficits and turnovers consistently hampered the offense. For the Panthers to build upon their first playoff appearance since 2015, they must address the slow starts that defined the 2025 season. All eyes are now on how the unit will evolve under the direction of new play caller Brad Idzek as they look to keep pounding and establish a more stable offensive rhythm from the very first opening drive of every contest. To understand why this matters for the Carolina Panthers right now, one must examine the stark statistical split in Bryce Young's performance throughout his 16 regular season games. Throughout the season, Young recorded 3,111 passing yards and 23 touchdowns, but those numbers mask a clear trend of inconsistency between halves. In the first half of games, Young struggled, managing only a 61.5 completion percentage with 8 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. He also faced significant ball security issues, losing 3 of his 5 fumbles during that period. This pattern was directly linked to the team's early season struggles, most notably in Day 2 start and a Week 2 loss to the Arizona Cardinals, where turnovers were a primary factor in a 27-22 defeat. The team's inability to protect the ball early in games forced them into a cycle of playing from behind, which made their path to an 8-9 finish significantly more difficult. In contrast, the second half of games saw a completely different version of the signal caller. After intermission, Young's completion percentage rose to 65.5, and he threw 15 touchdowns against just 4 interceptions. This dramatic improvement indicates that the tools for success are present, but the execution in the opening stages is the missing link. With the addition of key offensive weapons like 2025 NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year Tedairoa McMillan and the emerging Jalen Coker, the talent pool is deeper than it has been in years. The transition to Brad Idzek as the play caller is intended to help bridge this gap. For the roster to sustain its playoff-level momentum in 2026, finding a way to replicate that productive second-half production during the first half is the single most important task for the entire offensive coaching staff during the upcoming training camp and preseason. The emergence of young playmakers is undoubtedly a central pillar of the team's offensive philosophy. Jalen Coker and Tedairoa McMillan were essential in the late-season push, providing the necessary explosive capability to keep the Panthers competitive in late-game scenarios. Their chemistry with Bryce Young, particularly seen during the playoff push, offers a glimpse into what this offense could become if the passing attack finds its footing early. During the wildcard round, Young finished with 264 yards through the air, and it was that late touchdown to Coker that provided the team with their temporary 31-27 lead. It is clear that when the game plan is executed effectively, the offense is capable of trading blows with the league's top teams, including the Rams. However, The reliance on high-scoring, late-game rallies is a dangerous trend that the organization needs to mitigate. The fact that the club reached the playoffs after a 2-15 season just 2 years prior speaks to the current trajectory, but now the challenge shifts to sustaining that competitiveness throughout 4 full quarters. The move to put Brad Idzik in charge of the play-calling duties is the primary mechanism for this change. His ability to streamline the offense and ensure that Young is comfortable early in the game will be the primary metric for success. Fans are watching closely to see if the team can maintain its identity while eliminating the self-inflicted wounds that characterize the early stretches of 2025. By maintaining the intensity that led them to their first playoff spot in a decade, the squad must ensure that their early game struggles remain in the past. As the team prepares for the upcoming season, the focus remains on whether these specific offensive adjustments can result in more controlled wire-to-wire performances. The pressure on Bryce Young to become a more consistent factor out of the gate is immense, especially considering his status as the first overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. His postseason performance, ending with a 21 of 40 showing for 264 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, essentially mirrors the narrative of his entire 2025 campaign. He proved capable of playing clean, efficient football when the game was on the line, but the early game interception against the Rams was a reminder of the hurdle he must clear. The coaching staff is clearly aware of these trends, as the data from the 16-game regular season paints a very clear picture of what needs to be fixed. While being sacked only 27 times during the regular season is an improvement in protection, losing 4 of 7 fumbles suggests that ball security must remain a priority in practice. The team has seen the ceiling of what this unit can do, particularly when the secondary and the offensive line hold up. But the ceiling is only reachable if the quarterback is not forcing his team to overcome early mistakes. With the transition to a new play caller, the objective is to maximize the efficiency of the passing game from the opening kickoff. The connection with Jalen Coker and Tedairoa McMillan will continue to be a primary focus, but those weapons can only be utilized if the offense is in a position to attack. The 2026 season presents a new opportunity for the team to prove that their 8-9 record and playoff appearance were not merely an outlier, but a building block. Whether they can achieve this will depend almost entirely on how quickly the offense can find its rhythm in the first 2 quarters of the season's opening games. Looking forward to the 2026 season, the Panthers are essentially in a position to validate the progress made over the last 2 years. The transformation from a 2-15 team to a squad that challenged the Rams in the playoffs is significant, yet the team remains defined by the gaps in their performance. Bryce Young is the undisputed face of this evolution, and his ability to carry his second-half efficiency into the opening drives will determine the team's ability to compete in a crowded league. The addition of players like Tedairoa McMillan has certainly elevated the skill level, and Jalen Coker has proven to be a reliable target, but these players rely on their quarterback to set the tone. Brad Idzik has a clear directive: design an opening script that puts the offense in a position to succeed rather than in a position to recover. The 2025 playoffs offered a roadmap for success, demonstrating that this group can perform when it matters most, but the lessons from the 0-2 start and the turnover issues at Arizona serve as a sobering reminder of what happens when that focus is absent. As the organization transitions into this next phase, the expectation is that the collective experience gained from last season's postseason will lead to more composed play. The goal is to avoid the cliffhangers that dominated their 8-9 season and instead build leads that the defense can protect. With the team now having tasted playoff football again, the focus is entirely on consistency. By applying the lessons learned from their exit against Matthew Stafford's Rams, the team is working to sharpen its focus. The path forward for the Panthers is simple in theory. Play with the same heart that defined their season, but execute with the precision required to win consistently from the very first snap.